Yeah, no, thank you very much
Yeah,
for having me.
no problem. How's it in Vegas at this time of year after the Christmas holidays? Pretty busy, a lot going on?
You know, I'm not too sure. I'm literally just like at home or at the gym or at the PI. I don't really go out too much, so I'm not too sure what's going on in the city.
How was your holiday season? You a big fan of Christmas?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
normally I love Christmas, but this year, I mean, I physically was there spending time with my family, but mentally, I'm thinking about camp. I'm thinking about this fight, you know.
Yeah.
But it's all worth it. So it's not too bad.
So has this been the first time that you've experienced the holiday season like this? Certainly based on a lot of the hype that's going on with the UFC and all that, which we will get to. Is this a different type of feeling than you're used to?
Not too much. Like I've been in camp during Christmas time before. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. But yeah, for being a UFC fight, there's like that much more pressure and hype and everything. So it's even more exciting.
And does it feel very different from cage fighting Fury, or does it just feel slightly different in terms of how you're feeling inside?
Pretty much the same. I mean, like camp is business as usual. I'm not doing anything different than I did in the past. You know, like what got me here is kind of what obviously works. So why change? Why change it? If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, no, right enough. Now, cage fighting Fury, we know that you made a name for yourself there, as did many other UFC fighters like Rivera, Aljamain Sterling, amongst many different names. Moving on from somewhere that you've called home for quite a while, was it a bit bittersweet to kind of move on? We know that you're moving on to bigger things, but did you kind of get comfortable there and enjoy everything that they brought to you?
Yeah, I definitely did. It was nice. It felt like at home. But even going in there, I knew that it was only a stepping stone. So I
Yeah,
didn't let myself get too attached. It's like, you know, when you have a pet, sometimes like if you know you're gonna be going away, you don't attach so much. But yeah, it was really nice. And I uh I really like some guys from our team and everything. I always say like, definitely fight for them. It's sick. They're a great organization. So
and one of the good things about CFFC is that they are very public. Like they do talk about wanting to get you to the UFC. It's not like there's any hate or bad
yeah,
blood. They're very aware of what they're trying to do and they're very proud of it. Did you feel that effect leading up to this?
yeah, that exactly. They know you will. They only have you for a short amount of time, and but they treat you so well. Like they don't treat you like you're just gonna be there for a little while. They treat you like as if you're gonna be there forever. So
Yeah.
they're a great organization.
So before we jump on to why we're here, the UFC, there's a lot of big changes going on. Is there any part of CFFC that was perhaps something that was your most favourite that will always be a part of you in terms of your memory?
You know, I they had the grappling thing. I was really looking forward to doing it. I was put on the show, but then we had some border issues. I really wanted to do that, but as for things I actually did do, just honestly every fight in there. Like my very first fight with CFFC was my favorite
Yeah.
one, and it was really cool. Like going from other organizations and like seeing how CFFC does everything and. It was they were great. Like they're a professional organization as a professional organization, and they treat you like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the reputation that they've got as well. So just jumping on to UFC then. So fans will be aware of you from Dana White's Contender Series, something which we've all grown to love recently. We've seen a lot of stars coming up from Contender Series. They're now making a name for themselves. You put on a very dominant performance in your time at the Contender Series. How are you feeling some months later? Because we know that you're going from the smaller areas to the apex, putting on a great performance, getting told by Dana White you've got a contract. How's the emotions right now? We know that you're working to get to the stage, but just if you can sit and think about where you were when you began your career to now, how are you feeling inside, like in terms of I'm about to fight for the UFC officially on a very big card.
Yeah, I am so excited. I can't wait. Like this is what you dream about when you first start fighting. Like your dream is to get to the UFC. And initially, I was on the card this weekend, like at
Yep.
the Apex, and then they moved me to the Anaheim card, and I couldn't be happier. You know, it's a huge arena. It's all the crowd. It's like exactly how you imagine your UFC debut to be, and so it's like just I don't know, it's mind blowing that I actually get to do it, and that I'm not going to waste that opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Now, like it was almost meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been in the Apex, of course. What do you think of the Apex overall? Have you got a really kind of fond feeling about it? We know that it's not in comparison to like a stadium or a big, massive arena, but is there something about the Apex that you like, and do you feel you're going to fight there more and more in the future?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The Apex is great. You know, they obviously like I'm used to the cage there. I got to fight
Yeah.
in it, like for Contender Series, so that's nice. I know like the lay of the land there, and I mean with everything that's going on in this world, I feel like I'll probably fight there, you know, semi regularly, which is nice because exactly like with CFFC, it's like you feel at home, so
Yeah.
it's like just that much more comfortable.
Did you watch the Contender Series before you applied? Like, was it something that you followed and watched to see people progressing?
Yeah. I watched. Actually, a teammate of mine was on like I think a year or two before I
Hmm.
was, and yeah, I always enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. So there was one really memorable part of when you got your contract. We know that the way that it was kind of put across, was it as if by surprise? Did you not know until that absolute moment that it got aired that you were going to get your contract?
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, when I came out of the cage, then he kind of like fist pumped me and gave me a little bit of props. So I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. But I was in the back and I could watch the fights, and they were all good fights on the card.
Yeah.
And I was very concerned because my fight went to decision and he likes finishes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I had like that knot in my stomach the whole time. And of course, it was normally there's 5 fights, and of course there's 6 fights that night, so
Yeah.
it's just waiting that much longer, which sucked. But you know, sitting there on the stool, and I'm just like thinking in my head like, please, please, please. And then you know he came through it. It all worked out.
Yeah. Now, we know about your reaction. Now, Chris Brickett, that's your partner, your coach, a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He's been able to see you progress from when you started. Now, how did he react to it? We know that a lot of people have got different emotions, but we'll get into how you got into MMA very briefly. But how did your partner feel seeing you finally fulfill that, given the fact that you have only been pro for maybe, what, 2-3 years now?
Yeah, it was a fast track. No, he was so excited. He always says like, "Oh, I saw it before anyone else did. I knew that you were going to be big." Like you know all that, but he was so happy for me, and it's nice for him because like he's the one that's kind of made me the fighter that I am. In
Yeah.
addition to my other coaches, of course, and everything, but yeah, he saw me literally like right from the start. I didn't even know how to throw a punch, so it was obviously really really cool for him.
So I'll not get too far into it because I don't like going into detail. I just want to kind of talk about fights. But the way that you got into MMA, if you could explain it very briefly, because as we said, you weren't doing karate at 5 years old or jiu-jitsu at 5 years old. Are you able to just explain to listeners briefly how you got into MMA?
Yeah, so actually, I went to Chris like Prickett, my head coach now. he we were dating at the time, and he asked if I wanted to come to PEI because he was cornering former UFC fighter Jason Sago.
Yeah.
So he was helping him with camp. So then I'm thinking, yeah, I want to go to PEI. You know, I love seafood. I could kill a bunch of lobster for the week. Like, why not? And so we went down there, and I was like obviously just in the gym the entire time with them, just watching, and I just got very interested in it. And then they were sparring, and I was like, oh, okay, this is really sick. And so I'm like, let me spar. And they're like, you're not sparring. Like, you haven't done anything. But then after practice, Jason's like, oh, I'll do some moving around with her. And so I'm trying my hardest, trying to punch and kick him. And he's just kind of like teasing me. But he said afterwards to me, you know, you got a little bit of natural ability. Like, you start training, you can make a run at this. And that's kind of like how it started. And then I got consistent with training and dove in head first, and here we are.
And did it feel good? So we know you've got a wrestling background. You've got a silver medal in wrestling freestyle. Is that right?
Yeah, freestyle.
Yeah. So that's conventionally different from what you're used to. Did you feel anything different when you were boxing? Did that instill it more, or were you still a bit hesitant and maybe thinking about? We know that we've got people in the UFC and other places who wrestle predominantly, but they use your boxing to get down to there. Did you ever feel that you'd need to kind of combine everything for that, or did you think that wrestling could maybe serve you well?
Well, I started everything all at once, so it wasn't too much. Like, I blended it pretty easily. Like, obviously Chris, he's a wrestling coach, and so I did a lot of wrestling. In Canada, like the wrestling team that he coaches at, it's like we've got Olympians and world medalists and all, like super high level, especially on the girl side. So I was exposed to that, very, like, not doing anything and jumping right into a killer room, which was nuts. But yeah, in addition to that, I was doing like boxing, kickboxing, all of that. So I was discovering it all pretty much at the same time. So it wasn't too hard to blend it.
Who's your biggest inspiration, apart from your partner who's helped you get into this? Have you got a big inspiration in MMA that you look up to?
Probably GSP. He's like the GOAT for Canada. So I want to be like him.
What's it like training with GSP?
It's nuts. So I didn't have too much training with him, but I was fortunate enough to be able to get a little bit in with him. He's like so thirsty for knowledge, and I think that's why he's obviously excelled. He's always in the gym. Like, he's, I don't know, such like a humble, good person.
Who would you say is the best? If we're going by Canada, we've got a lot of fighters out of Canada. Is there anybody apart from GSP that you could look at and you could say that they're carrying Canada in the combat sports world? Anybody that's doing amazing and that you feel are carrying the message for Canada and representing them in a really great way?
I hope that I am. I hope I'm the next big thing coming out of Canada. But we've got a ton of like really, really good fighters. So I think we're all representing Canada super well.
What about Max Holloway? Do you think because I've seen him a lot, he's very, he says Canada's like I think the ninth island. Do you see Max Holloway being in the same picture?
Yeah, definitely. He's Canadian in our eyes for sure.
Yeah, he's amazing. Now, we'll jump right onto it. So, Kay Hansen, you're going to be fighting Kay Hansen in your octagon debut, Anaheim, California. Kay Hansen's Invicta, worked her way from Invicta up to UFC. Have you been a fan of Kay Hansen? Have you followed her career before you found out you were going to be fighting her?
Yeah, I mean, I like, who's in your division, and like pretty much all the girls in 15 and 25. So I obviously was aware of who she was prior to the matchup. But yeah, once I got the message saying like, this is who you're fighting, I was like, oh, sick. Like, good name, good juice for the squeeze.
I've never heard that before. So what do you think? She's known for her submission moves. She's pretty well rounded as well. As we said yourself, you're very much coming in with the same type of skills, if you will, but more predominantly on the wrestling side. Is there any dangers that you're seeing in Kay Hansen's game, or are you kind of sizing her up and you're thinking, yeah, I think I've got this?
Yeah, exactly. She's well rounded, and as long as I'm not silly, putting myself out of position or anything like that, I think that I take this fight. I believe in my abilities, and I think it's a good matchup. I think it will be a fun one. Like I think we match up very well.
Yeah. Now things about what I saw between you and Kay that match up. So a lot of times in a lot of previous fights, pictures, videos, you both look like you get into some very vicious scraps. Now, always bloody, always bruised. Did you think about that prior to kind of getting into the fight? Because Kay's known to be covered in blood. I've seen videos and pictures of you. You're looking like once you're in there, it's like a different animal altogether.
Yeah, no, I'm like fully aware that coming out of this fight, I'm gonna be busted up, and we're both coming in. We come in head first, so I know this is gonna be a banger.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's got all the ingredients to be such a banger. Now, the UFC flyweight division, we know who's at the top of the tree right now. We know that you're going to have a certain amount of fights to be getting up there, but ideally, if you beat Kay Hansen, have you got anybody in mind, or are you going to just see what the UFC put in front?
Yeah, I'm just gonna see who the UFC puts in front. It's like I haven't even really thought about it too much. It's like I got a task at hand. I'm not looking past that. Like this is my only goal. I'm laser focused on this, and then after this fight, then I'll start kind of like looking, watching, and see what's next.
You got any big plans after the fight? Have you got any plans to watch anybody? Is there any fights in particular that you're most looking forward to on the night?
Yeah, Moreno's fight. He's such a good dude, man. I think he's winning, and I can't wait to watch his fight.
Nicest guy in combat sports.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, he seems it. Did you see his Lego belt that he got?
Sorry?
Did you see the Lego belt that he got after all that time of trying to get it with Lego? He eventually got a Lego belt.
Oh, yeah, I did see that actually.
Yeah. Awesome. So, yeah, you're going to be making history in your own right in terms of fighting at Anaheim. You're going to be part of a really big card, lots of title fights, lots of heavyweight history being made as well. How do you see the fight going overall? Do you expect a finish?
I'm hoping for a finish. If it presents itself, I'm gonna jump on it. But I mean, you never know. She's tough, so I could see it going to decision. I'm just ready to get my hand raised.
Yeah, sky's the limit. You've worked very hard to get here. You finally reached here. You're going to be entering the prime of your fighting career, and I couldn't think of a better spot and a better place to be, and a better person to be in that spot after such a hard-fought way to get here. So thank you very much for coming on. Is there anybody you want to give a shout-out to just before you go?
Just shout out to my team back at home in Canada, NTT, and all my training partners. I miss you guys already and can't wait to come home.
Awesome. Well, best of luck, and we'll be watching you next week on your UFC debut. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.